Friends, welcome to Winter Garden, Florida. I'm here in front of the Railroad Museum. Let's go check it out. What the heck was that? I'm here in front of the Railroad Museum. Wanted to check this place out for a long time. Let's go.
Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Able to sit on the station, are you?
I'm already overwhelmed. I'm in the first room of the museum and there's so much train stuff. It's very cool. Yeah, the old train museum, the Heritage Museum of Winter Garden right there. It's a lot of history of the railroad in Florida. It's basically why we exist. If you've never been to Florida, you don't know much about the area. Well, there's not much that was going on here before the 1900s when the railroad came in. It was all swampland, and if you've ever been hiking here in Florida, most of the state parks and trails you find anywhere look kind of the same. I mean, there's some really beautiful parts of Florida, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of scrub forest, saw palmettos, swamp, cypress trees, beautiful, but nobody was coming here to vacation until the railroad came in and started the development of these small towns all through Central Florida and South Florida. So without the railroad, we wouldn't have anybody here. It's a big part of our history here in Florida. In fact, here's some local train stations from some of these small communities in the area. But it wasn't tourism that brought the railways to these small towns. It was the citrus industry. Since that's such a huge industry in the area, they needed a place to get those oranges out of town and into the hands of people that were willing to pay for it all over the country. And that's why we have the railroad. Oh, look at these cool tools. Never seen wrenches like that. Never seen a display on bathroom signs. Here you go. Norfolk Southern paraphernalia. Very neat. There's some interesting displays here, one of which is the railroad ashtray display. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen some ashtrays in like antique stores and things, a big collection of them, but specifically for railroads, never seen that. As a kid, I remember getting on an airplane and seeing people smoke, and there was a smoking section in restaurants, and not nowadays, of course, but interesting time in our history, huh? Some more cool memorabilia. Steam whistle. Well, hello, sir. Well, a very kind gentleman that is running the museum here today told me some interesting information I had no idea about with the train world. Quick story. Back in 1984, some people here on the St. Johns River, just nearby, were fishing. A guy and his son, apparently. Well, a train goes over the bridge where they were fishing and dumped the toilet matter right on top of them. They did not like this. And apparently, up until 1984, trains and planes both would just dump the toilet stuff in the air on a plane and right on the tracks. There was no holding tanks in these vehicles. So this father-son sued Amtrak and CSX, I believe, and won. So up until 1984, there were no holding tanks on trains or planes. I had no idea. And apparently on planes, when the matter would fall from the sky, it would freeze, and the blue stuff, the disinfectant stuff that you see in toilets and airplanes now, it would freeze, and they would call it blue ice because it would land on the ground in these chunks of blue frozen stuff that no one wanted to see. But how interesting, huh? 1984 was when that stopped. Can't believe it. I have to say, I thought this was going to be a lot of model trains in here as well, but there's really not that many. There's a few, but this is mostly items from the actual train industry, passenger trains, and of course citrus trains, but Mostly I'm seeing here like passenger train items. Got a lot of the lights back here, got hangers for clothes and like the engineers' hats, and so on. Plates and dishes from the dining cars. This is very interesting. These Pullman cars must have been pretty fancy. Conductor's ticket punches. Neat. There's a ticket box. There's so much cool stuff from the railroad here. Look at these old telephones. Can you believe that somebody could understand what all those taps meant and translate that into English language? It's a kind of a lost art. Does anybody out there know Morse Code, or is that what that is? Yes, Morse Code. It was invented by Samuel Morse. Anybody know that? Dining car chimes. I've never heard of such a thing. Or chimes in China. It's a British wash bowl. Folds up into its own compartment. That's a pretty good van life idea. Or sailboat. It'd be great on a sailboat. Not sure what this is yet. This was a maintenance vehicle where workers from the railroad would use this to get out to where they needed to work on the tracks someplace instead of taking a full train car. Interesting. There is so much dining car stuff here. It's the last room of the museum. Oh, cool. I love finding these old railroad spikes. These are labeled of which railroad was using them. Oh, neat. There's really small ones down here too. I've never seen small ones like that. This is a neat display about the cross-cut sections of the rails themselves. I've never seen some of these different styles of rails before. I always thought they were all the same. That's how it's all put together right there on these plates. I found lots of these plates, and that thing, I've seen those many times. This one was found by an 8-year-old on a baseball field in Ocoee. Huh. This level was found by somebody laying by some tracks. Interesting. So they leveled the train track there. Hate when you accidentally leave an important tool on the job, huh? The water cooler and the toilet waste bucket look very similar. You wouldn't want to get those two confused, huh? No, hard to get that confused. Things I never knew existed. Date nails. They have the date on them when the track was installed. More of them here. Neat display. Here's some pins from trainmen's uniforms. Oh, interesting. Neat key collection. Speaking of tools, and maybe one that no one wanted to use, was this 2-man track drill. Tracks came in 39-foot sections with holes drilled on each end for attachment. But when you had to cut that section, you had to drill your own holes for the attachments. And this is how you did it. It's probably something I wouldn't have really been looking forward to in a day's work. It seems like a lot. Here's a cool display on locks and keys of the railroad. Huh. There is a small section of model trains here, and this is it. I love these old train sets. You can make your own reality down here. Create your own town, your own people, your own place. Like every good museum, there is a gift shop. Well, in this case, there's a gift display case. And they got some model trains in there, some other things from the museum that you you can walk away with if you want.
Look at this. Nice chrome. Now who makes this one?
There's a lot of people still into these model train cars, as you can see. There's some cool stuff in this cabinet.
What do we got here? What are these things?
Lots of model trains to buy. The Central Florida Railroad Museum is awesome. This is one of the best railroad museums I have ever been in. And they have a membership here. So you can become a member of the Railroad Museum, and for $45, they got a sign-up sheet here. For $45, you can be their society member, and you can be a friend of the museum for $25. It's really cool what they do. They have a meeting room in the back, seats like 30 people, and every month they have a speaker come in, and they have some information, a movie or something that anybody who's a member can come and join in and learn some new things about old trains. This is really cool. It is like story time back here. I'm learning a lot.
What happened?
Friends, the train museum here is incredible. There's so much in this museum. There's more than what I showed you. There's just a lot of interesting history that I was not aware of. And they have things from the train world that I've never even seen before. As I was listening to the very nice gentleman tell some stories to other patrons that were walking in, I learned some really cool things that I had no idea about. You just got to come in here and check out what they have. This is a really cool collection. It is such a cool collection in here. Friends, you got to make it over here. It's absolutely free to get in if you're in the Winter Garden area. It takes about an hour, maybe 2 hours if you're really into it, to walk through and check it all out. But you won't regret it. Friends, I'm glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next video. On the outside wall of the train museum, it used to be a train station, is this cool box as part of the history hunt in town. There's 12 history boxes located in hidden locations all around town, these historical locations, and you can go around and learn some things. Pretty cool. Friends, I'll see you in the next video.